it to deep right center field. That ball hit way back, and there is career pinch hit home run number 4. Speizio had struck pay dirt with a long ball.
He's just 50 years old, and man, has Scott Speizio lived a lot of life. From being adored to being addicted. But he's still standing and thriving again. He's our spotlight feature tonight. With the help of photographer Randy Schwenkert, we give you the Scott Speizio story. Morris is a quiet town in southwestern Illinois, an hour outside of Chicago. About 14,000 live there. Perhaps no name is more famous there than the one on this billboard, Speizio. The sign reads furniture, appliances, and television. But for many, that name means baseball.
Scott Speizio, a 3-run home run to right field.
It's just an unbelievable feeling. I mean, when the ball hits the bat and you just like a click. And you're like, oh, I just got that perfect, you know, and it's what you practice your whole life for.
Scott Speizio's whole life was baseball. His father, Ed, played on 3 pennant winners and 2 World Series champions with the Cardinals in the 1960s. Ed knew at a young age Scott had skills.
But I made him a priority, and as he came along, I could see at 2 and 3 and 4 years old, this, you know, he's getting bigger and he's getting stronger and he's got a good hand-eye coordination. And by the time he was 8, it was unbelievable.
When I was younger, we'd hit in the front yard here with tennis balls. And then I started getting to the point where I could hit them close to the neighbors' houses across the street.
It was on to Morris Community High School, where Scott's jersey was retired, and he was the MVP of the conference.
Acquired from Chicago in the Aguilera deal. There goes Speizio, high and deep.
Speizio's star started to shine in the big leagues with the Angels.
Yes!
2002 was the biggest moment of his career. The Angels were down 5-0 to the Giants in Game 6 of the World Series when Scott came to the plate.
Rodriguez sets the 3-2 pitch. It's belted to right field. Back on it goes Sanders at the wall. He can't get it. Home run!
The Angels won that game 6-5 and clinched the title the next night.
And I felt like I was this high off the ground, running the bases, and it was like all those times in the backyard with my dad.
And there were many more majestic moments for Speizio. The bigger the moment, the better he was. 2006, the Cardinals won the division on this hit against the Brewers.
Fastball bullet into the right field corner. It is down. 1 run is in. Another runner coming on around, and Kendall says, come on home. Encarnacion. The Cardinals lead it 3-2.
A few weeks later, in Game 2 of the NLCS, Speizio's 2-run triple was the key hit in a crucial Game 2 win against the Mets.
To have that feeling and see the ball zooming off your bat, there's just nothing like it.
Speizio became a cult hero. He had that fire engine red patch, which became vogue with Cardinal fans. And that tattoo of his second wife, Jen.
I want to show her how dedicated I was to her.
But the amazing thing about Speizio's productiveness and popularity was he was becoming an addict.
In 2007 is when I started using cocaine, and I was always trying to balance. So one was an upper, one was a downer. So I was constantly trying to balance to be able to play and survive. And at that point in 2007, you know, I basically became an addict and an alcoholic all at once. And my whole every day was basically trying to figure out how to balance and, you know, survive. And because if I didn't drink, I'd get the shakes. And, you know, if I didn't use, I'd get tired. And so it was a horrible place to be.
0-1 pitch to Speizio.
But he kept hitting. There was that 2-home-run game in Arizona.
The next night I hit another home run, and then I didn't do it, and I went 0 for 4 with 4 strikeouts. And so then I was like, oh, I better, you know, and I did like a line or 2 or 3 or 4, maybe it was 4 lines, and which is all too many. But the problem was then I started thinking, oh, well, maybe this is like a, you know, it's a superstition thing.
In all, it was a 13-year addiction. with 12 trips to various rehabilitation clinics. And then there was that incident in Irvine, California, where he received 6 misdemeanor charges after crashing his car.
I think I probably had a concussion, and I went to my condo and couldn't get in. Went to a friend's house and started throwing up because of the concussion. He got mad at me. I think I hit him in the eye.
About 5 years ago, Scott met a very important person in his life, which helped him in his fight against addiction. Tanya Boyer, a woman from his hometown. But on April 5th, 2018, she thought she may have lost her friend.
I watched him turn yellow from head to toe within 36 hours.
And then your next move was?
Get him to the hospital. And if he wouldn't have, I don't know if he would be here today.
During it all, his father had gone to a counselor to find out how to deal with an addict.
It's so hard to do, but as the teacher kept saying, it's the hardest thing you'll ever have to do. And if you don't do it, he will die. That's the way he put it. If you don't do this, or anybody around you doesn't do it, you will have a bad ending to this.
The answer was to cut him off. And in terms of him having that bad ending, Speizio did not. Instead, he hasn't had a drink in 1,683 days. He teaches the game to kids in the area at his batting cage, just like his dad did with him.
Down 1, bottom of 7. This is to be the greatest of all time, right here. Here you go. Base hit up the middle. World Series champ.
And when he's not celebrating with a student, he's celebrating the gospel with his therapy group in town.
Thank you for this fellowship and this group.
Speizio is not afraid to tell his story to help others. Or on this night, he's sharing his story with the Fellowship of Christian Athletes in St. Louis. The tattoo of his ex has been replaced with a cross.
I'm doing great, so I think somebody's looking out for me.
Do you want to do cocaine? Do you want to have a glass of alcohol?
No, not at all. So that's a big difference. Before, when I'd quit, I don't think, for me as a Christian, I finally had to give it to God and let Him drive.
Just hold that steady.
He did go through this for a reason, and his reason is to try to help other people, to keep them from either going through what he went through, or to help them see that you can get beyond it and you can have a positive impact and a positive role in life.
I always say, as long as you've got a pen, as long as you've got a breath, you can always write a happy ending.
Making major leagues, maybe 1 in 1 million, 1 in 2 million. Starring in a World Series, maybe 1 in 10 million. What you're doing right now is tougher than that.
Besides managing his addictions and his strong Christian faith, perhaps what Scott is most proud of is his closeness with his kids. He has 4 of them. He calls the relationships, quote, awesome. We'll take a break, and we'll be right back.